We've had a few emails come through along those lines. One from Jared Simmons basically saying, hey, look, Roygaard's so good, it's because of his ability to play in front of him. Is that being coached out of our players? Is it the system making it so we're not playing what's in front of us in the same way that we used to?
Yeah, look, I think it's a fine balance. Like, you do definitely need to have a phase play system. But I think what Roygaard does is he creates so much opportunity for others because the defence is just so concerned around that breakdown that they can get tight, which creates that space for a Caleb Clark on the edge to just have that one-on-one, or a Tupaea to see that space on the inside and take it. So it's not so much about it being coached out of them, it's just about creating the pitches that allow them to do it. Like, you could see that it was just instinct, and that was the best thing. And even his first try, you watch, and I spoke about how the Wallabies like to fold really quick in the 22. He'd just done his prep, he'd done his work, but he just sees an opportunity. A lot of times in teams you say, don't go against the grain, but he does have an element of, I don't care, like, I can see something here, I'm going to score. And that freedom and that belief in his own game is probably the most, critical. But, Bryn, I was sort of waxing lyrically about Bryn's big call about him being as good as DuPont, but, holy dooly, that was a statement performance along the lines of getting there.
Brenna, when you talk about a halfback working within a system and the freedom that Roygaard tends to have, is there a balance there? Like, how do you approach it as a halfback to go if you feel like it's ready to go?
That's actually a really good question, Ross, because, it is hard in terms of kind of depending on what your structure is. So if you want to get the ball out nice and quick, and that's probably the game plan, right? Let's look at Aaron Smith, for an example. That was the game plan of what made the All Blacks really good, the quick ball and being able to get the ball out. But what I feel that Cam does really, really well, and this is what I think makes him so special, is that, yes, he's got a core skill of being able to get the ball out really fast, but his decision-making and his instinctiveness about when to be able to take the right option at the right time, he gets that right. And that's probably something that's his biggest strength, because I think you are right, sometimes you can get it taken out of you depending on the higher up you get, the messages coming from coaches around a skill set, a particular skill set like Aaron Smith, if I use for the example, but he's just very, very good and very instinctive, and he just backs himself. And that's probably the thing that I see. He backs himself when he sees a picture, he goes for it, and he's strong enough. If he does make the wrong decision, he's good enough physically to be able to make it a positive, if that makes sense. He can be able to bump someone off, he can get some footwork to be able to get a little offload and keep the ball going. So, yeah, look, it was only his first test match at Eden Park. We forget that, he's very raw in terms of the international game. So hopefully he can stay injury-free, because I think with him playing an India tour, and if we can get him consistently playing for this Northern Hemisphere tour and, this last game of the Rugby Championship, I think it is going to unlock this All Black attack with what we saw probably in the first 20 minutes in the first half.
Even that vision, and I suppose, Bryn, you can talk to this, the skill it takes to get that tops kick for the 50-22. He does seem to, the great players, it almost looks like the game is slow. Do you know what I mean? It looks like they have so much time, and he just seems to appear like everything's moving in slow motion for his brain.
Yeah.
And everyone else is it's sort of helter-skelter.
We probably won the aerial battle as well in terms with the All Blacks this week, because you look at the height of his kicks and the ability to be able to get that ball for 50-50 for the likes of Jordan, Clark, even Barrett, whoever was running, to get the opportunity to get that 50-50 ball. So that's a big part of the international game at the moment. It's something that we did touch on, that we probably think the All Blacks needed to win on our ball, being able to get really good kicks off 9. And look, Cam did that really well on the weekend. So, if we want to go to a plan B and we're not getting our attack right, having Cam that can be able to do the contestable game alongside with that 50-22. And also I thought Bowden Barrett as well, Jip, in that first half, his contestables off 10, they married it up quite nicely within their kicking strategy, going off 9 and off 10. I just thought our kicking game was a lot better, and our aerial game as well, winning the ball back and being able to get those opportunities to have a click attack and turnover attack off those regained kicks.
I think we only kicked 16 times for 400 odd metres, so and it's the most metres we'd run, close to 1,300 metres run. So there was definitely an attitude. 5 o'clock kickoff, I know it changes things. There's a lot less due, but that mindset excites me and as a fan, but also understanding what's made us great for 130 plus years is that ability to just play from anywhere. It almost gives you a get out of jail free card, and that's what makes, I suppose, the players strike. And I think if you're not given that license, you can see a little bit more of the robotic, go to phase play, build phases and try and wear them down.
You talked about the wing there with Tupaea. Is he a legit option? We've seen 6 wingers start so far this season. Is he a legit option as they figure out their backfield?
Yeah, look, I definitely think he is, purely because he's played wing a lot for the Chiefs. He's played All Blacks 15 as well, so he's very much accustomed to it. I do like the way they sort of manipulated the backfield, though. They had Geordie sort of drop back there so he could take the contestable kicks, which worked really well. There just there's an element that performance deserves a start. But for me, I suppose if Caleb's injury isn't right, there is an opportunity, obviously, to move Leroy back to the left, Will to the right, and Geordie fullback, and then potentially an opportunity for Tupaea in the midfield. But that's a big statement performance for me. Like he's definitely demanding more minutes through performance.
What do you think, Brent? Because we've seen Ioane, Reece, Narawa, Jordan, Carter, Clark. What have you thought has been the best 11, 14, 15 that you've seen so far?
It's hard because he probably hasn't been that continuity in that position. But I think the reason why they picked a Caleb Clark for the weekend is because the aerial battle, and it's been such a big talking point in and around being able to win the ball in the air. So look, Caleb Clark, along with his ability to be able to get over the advantage line, but his ability to be able to win the ball in there, I think, was one of the reasons why he was selected. So look, I think Quinn Tupaea played really well on the weekend and would be warranted to start with his performance, not just on the weekend, but consistently in that 22 role. Look, you do want to give him an opportunity, but if you do want to go back to the aerial role and having a winger that does that, Lester Fainganuku is someone that has been in that environment for a couple of weeks now, and it's somewhat similar to a Caleb Clark when it comes to the aerial battle. So, you know, whether Quinn starts on the wing and then you get Lester into that 22 role, he can cover centre and wing. So, is it a like-for-like swap, putting Lester on the bench and having Quinn on the wing? I'm not too sure, but I just think that aerial battle and the way that they were able to get it with Caleb Clark, the execution of the kick was right, and I agree with Jip, the ability that they had. Geordie Barrett, having Will Jordan at the back, takes care of that kind of pendulum at the back to win the ball when they're kicking the ball. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did pick a Lester on the wing with a similar skill set of what a Caleb Clark does have.